By Gretchen Rubin, and I wanted to tell you about it because it's kind of been impactful for me as an influencer when I'm connecting and talking with people. So essentially, it breaks it down into these things. I'm not sure if you can see that. So we have 4 different tendencies. One of them is called the upholder. The other one is an obliger. The other one's a rebel and a questioner. Yes. So essentially, what it comes down to is that most people respond to external expectations in a certain way. So I didn't really think expectations had that much to do with my life, but in reality, it's kind of like everything. It's like how we approach commitments, how we approach other people, how we approach getting stuff done, like losing weight, or making decisions like New Year's resolutions and actually keeping them or following through, or if somebody says, hey, do the dishes, or if somebody says, hey, write this paper, or whatever it is kind of how we respond to that. So it turns out that most people react to expectations in 4 different ways. And so one of them is like Hermione Granger, which we kind of all want to be. The upholder, they say yes. By yes, I said, so outward expectations, they do those very well. Like if somebody says, I need you to do this, they'll be like, okay, I'll do it. But at the same time, like if they're like, I'm going to decide to not eat sugar for 5 years, then they can just do it. It's just kind of like amazing. And so we'd all like to be like that, but most of us are not like that. And then there's the obliger. I'm an obliger. So essentially, obliger responds really well to outward expectations. So like accountability, or somebody says, hey, we're going to do this fitness class together, or hey, we're going to do this project together to change the world. We're going to pack shoe boxes or make shoes for Soul Hope or something like that. And we're like, okay, I can do that if I have this outward expectation. But if we're like, I'm going to do this, like on the inside, we have a really, really hard time doing it. So I'm an obliger. Lots of times we're kind of people pleasers, and essentially we're just kind of like able to do stuff if we think other people depend on us. So like if you think that, and I think a lot of world changer type people are these people, because what happens is they're really, really concerned about making everybody else happy and meeting everybody else's needs, but they're not really good at taking care of themselves. So if they want to take care of themselves, they almost have to kind of put it into the context of, well, if I can't take care of myself, then I'm not able to help other people. And so I've found that to be so true for myself. Or even recently, I started using a health coach, because if I just knew somebody was going to ask me about whether I exercise, then I would actually do it. Or that group that I mentioned in one of my recent blog posts, if I actually have a group of women studying what it means to be a woman in the Bible and deal with my issues on women, so that way I can serve women with global issues for equality and keeping them from dying, and female circumcision and all that stuff like that. So I was like, I've been wanting to study this for a long time, but it wasn't until I realized that as an obliger that I was like, I have a group of people that I'm teaching it to, then I'll actually study it, because I have that outward expectation. Because if I try to do it on the inside and I'm just like, I'm going to study this, which I've been saying for years, I don't actually do it. So then the next one over here is a questioner. A questioner will do something outwardly, but only if they really understand the reasons. So these people are kind of fascinating to me. They ask why a lot. Sometimes I've realized recently one of the closest relationships I have is a questioner, and all of a sudden so many of our fights and things like that have made sense to me, because I'm like, oh, they weren't just trying to be a jerk. They're really trying to understand why it matters. Because if they understand why it matters, then they'll be like, yeah, they'll be in it. Or they can do stuff on their own, kind of like an upholder. They'll be like, I'm just going to do this. And then they'll commit to their New Year's resolutions and actually do them. Or their life mapping. If you've done life mapping with me, they'll just get it done. And they can do it without accountability. But the thing is with them is that sometimes they interact with you in a way where they're so focused on trying to understand why that you might not necessarily think they're friendly, or especially if you're an obliger and a people pleaser, then you're kind of clashing. So understanding that is really helpful. The last one is a rebel, and I don't really understand that one as much. I'm still reading the book, but essentially they pretty much kind of push against any type of restraint or any type of thing that they put on themselves or other people put on them. Ironically, they tend to lean towards things that have like high structure, like churches or military or things like that. But the way that you get a rebel to act is you kind of give them this idea that there's this greater purpose, or if they want to be a certain way, then you kind of like are like, well, if you want to be like that, like this type of person, if you want to be this person with character, well, you probably should clean your room or something like that. And then, but if you don't, that's fine, no big deal. And you just kind of let them off the hook, and then that kind of pushes them onward. But at the same time, I don't really understand the rebel. So I'm still learning about it myself. But if you want your influence to be a little bit better, which most of us do because we want to be people that make an impact on the world, whether it's just starting in our own homes or in our community groups or wherever we are, and we want to lead people towards making a difference, then we need to kind of understand how people respond to expectations and how we ourselves respond to expectations. Like I know when I coach people with life mapping a lot, there's this tension because some people really need high accountability and some people don't. And I'm constantly trying to give them solutions on how to actually move forward in life in these areas that are holding them back. And to do that, though, it's really kind of difficult for them, a lot of people, because they respond to expectations that they themselves set on themselves and whether they can actually follow through with them or not, but at the same time what other people put on them. So now that I understand these 4 tendencies a lot better, now I'm able to help encourage them. So if you've ever done mentoring or worked in relationships with people, this might be another good thing for you to check out. So you can also listen to Gretchen Rubin. She has a podcast called Happier, and she talks about them all on there. So if you're not a book reader, that might be a much quicker way for you to just kind of quickly understand this and then start kind of understanding the people around you better that you're leading, because we want to change the world, and the best way to do that is to first grow as world changers ourselves, so that way we can also influence people well and with goodness and compassion, and lead them with us as we try to make a difference on social issues. So again, Elisa Johnston with Average Advocate. Hope this helps you, and I hope you also have a great day. Yeah, bye.